Hey, can I ask you something? You know that feeling where your life looks okay on the outside, but inside you still feel slightly on edge and guarded? Like you've done so much work on yourself and you still can't quite relax into how good things could be? If that's you, I want to tell you about something I'm running. I'm hosting a live 90-minute masterclass called Why You Keep Hitting an Invisible Ceiling Even After All the Work. And this is for the people who are not new to healing. You've done therapy. You've done heaps of personal development and growth. You understand your patterns, but you still notice moments where you hold back. You overthink. You can't fully receive good things. Or part of you is still waiting for something to go wrong. In this masterclass, I'm going to explain why that happens. Why it's not because you're broken, why it's not because you missed something, and what actually helps your system to move forward without forcing it. It's happening Friday, February 27th at 11 a.m. Sydney, Australia time. And it's live. If something in this feels like it's speaking directly to you, you can grab your spot through the link in the show notes. I'd really love to have you in the room. See you there. Welcome to Growing Tall Poppies, Thrive After Trauma. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I am so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through trauma or significant challenges and not just survive, but to thrive after it. This is a space for people who've been through trauma or adversity, have done some healing, and know they're meant for more than just coping. This podcast is about post-traumatic growth, not getting back to who you used to be. Rather, understanding who you are now and learning how to stand tall without shrinking, forcing, or abandoning yourself. Here, we explore identity after adversity, integrity and visibility wounds, nervous system wisdom, and what it really takes to move forward in a way that feels aligned, embodied, and true. You will hear a blend of deep solo conversations and powerful guest interviews with people who have lived this work, not just studied it. Because growth doesn't come from pushing harder, it comes from understanding how you adapted, honouring your nervous system, and gently updating the old agreements that no longer fit the life you're ready to live. If you're ready to stop hiding, stop performing, and start owning who you are becoming, then you are in the right place. Let's grow tall together. Hello, gorgeous friends, and welcome back. If you've been listening to this mini-series with me, then first, thank you. If not, then I suggest you start back at episode 89, which is part 1 of this mini-series on the invisible ceiling. Then it'll give you the proper context and make a little bit more sense. I want this episode to feel like we're just chatting over a coffee. This episode really isn't about teaching something new. It's more like, let's sit down together and talk about what actually happens after you've done a lot of the healing work. Because this is the part that no one really explains. Because if you're here, if you've listened to the first 2 episodes, you're probably someone who has done a lot of work on yourself already. You've probably been to therapy, you've read the books, you've had lots and lots of insights show up as a result of all of that work, and you likely understand your patterns pretty well. And still, there can be this really quiet sort of feeling of, why does part of me still feel stuck? Not broken, not falling apart, but just stuck. Like you're not fully living at the level that you know is possible for you. Like there's more of you there, but it's not fully coming out yet. And that can be a really weird place to be. Because on paper, your life might look fine. You're functioning, probably pretty high functioning. You're doing well, you're capable. But inside, you know deep down that there's something more. You might still feel like you're holding something, and that can feel confusing and sometimes a bit lonely. So let's talk about the feelings that most people won't say out loud. You know, when you get an opportunity that you really, really wanted, you had your heart set on it. And instead of feeling excited first, your stomach contracts and tightens. Or something good happens, and there's a part of you already waiting for the other shoe to drop and for it to go wrong. Or you finally sit down to rest and you feel really uncomfortable and restless instead of relaxed. You know that stuff. And it's so much more common than people think. It doesn't mean that you're doing healing wrong. In fact, far from it. Here's the after healing bit that no one explains. I think there's this idea that once you've done the work, you should just feel free, fixed, like everything's wonderful. However, healing is not the finish line. And I don't mean that in a way that you'll always be broken and you just have to accept it. Not at all. I mean that healing often gets you safe. But what I see over and over and over again is people get safer, but they don't always feel fully free yet. And that space can feel really confusing because you're not in survival mode anymore like you have been in the past, but you're also not fully relaxed in your life either. Let me explain this. Give you a real life example. I'm thinking of a client of mine. I'll call her Jess. Jess was doing really well. She had a good business. She felt like she had good relationships. And she was very self-aware. But she said something that I'll never forget. She said, I feel like I'm living my life slightly braced, just waiting for something to go wrong, holding on for something unexpected to happen. She wasn't panicked, not overwhelmed particularly, just never fully soft and able to relax. She noticed things like good news made her feel tense before it made her happy. Rest made her feel really guilty. And being seen made her feel really exposed and very, very vulnerable, even when it went well. And when we unpacked it, there was a part of her, just a bit of her that had learned early on in her life. Stay ready, stay alert, don't let yourself fully relax. And because at one point in her life, that made sense. That made total sense. But now, her life was safe. Her body just hadn't caught up yet. And honestly, That is so normal. And here's the part that most people miss. Have you ever noticed that you can know you're safe, but your body feels really tight still? Your shoulders don't fully drop. They're always lifting up towards your ears. Your stomach feels a bit tight, a bit clenched. Your breathing gets shallow and never fully softens. Well, that's not you being broken. It's just your body intelligently doing what it learned to do, likely from an early age. Your body doesn't work off logic. It works off past experiences. And this is why body-based work can help so much. Because sometimes your body just needs a safe way to let go of what it's been holding so tight for all these years. And this is why something like TRE, trauma and tension release exercises, which we spoke about in the last episode, can feel so very powerful for people. Not because you're forcing anything, but because your body is finally allowed to shake out that tension that it never got to release before. To gently let those past nervous system patterns move through your body and release. And when that happens, people often say, "Oh, I had no idea how much I was holding." Or, "I feel so much calmer, but I don't really know why." Or the classic, "Oh, I feel lighter." And that is your body going, "Oh, I don't have to hold that anymore. I'm safe enough to let that go." Yeah, I know that might feel a bit to get your head around. That invisible ceiling that we've been talking about, I don't actually see it as you being blocked. I see it more like your system saying, "Hey, I'm not sure this is safe yet." And honestly, that makes sense. If being seen once caused you hurt, then being seen probably still feels risky for you. If resting once wasn't safe, for example, you might have been yelled at for being lazy if you actually sat down, then slowing down might feel really uncomfortable and really unnatural for you. And if needing people once or more than once ended in hurt and pain, then letting people in to support you might feel really, really hard still. Not because you're difficult, but because you adapted and your system adapted really intelligently to keep you safe. Most important thing that I really want you to hear is that you are not behind. You didn't fail at your healing. You are not too complicated. And you are definitely not that one person it won't work for. You are probably just standing at the edge of your next layer of safety and not sure about letting your life feel safe again. And that's actually a really powerful place to be, because this is where life can get really beautiful, because this is where you stop trying to fix yourself and you start learning how to be in your life. This next stage is usually not dramatic. It's usually what I refer to as the integration piece, where we bring it all together. Knowing about the identity fractures and what they are, like we talked about in part one of the mini series, knowing why they are there and how they formed. And that's what we talked about in part two of the mini series. And then we can now move into increasing our safety and integrating it all together. So it's more like you can breathe deeper without thinking about it. You don't feel like you constantly have to prove yourself all the time. You can enjoy good things without waiting for them to disappear. And you can rest without that background guilt noise and no explaining why you deserve it. And I love this one. You can be visible and allow yourself to be seen, fully seen, and not feel like you're about to get hurt. You can receive something good without waiting for it to disappear. That is integration. And it's quiet and it's powerful. And honestly, that kind of safety changes everything. Before we finish, I want to do something with you, like we've done for the other two episodes. Let's just take a moment to check in with yourself. If it feels okay, and you can do this again with your eyes closed, but not if you're driving, then do this later or just do it with your eyes open. I just want you to pause. Notice your shoulders. Are they lifting up or are they loose and relaxed? Notice your jaw. Is it loose or is it clenching right now? Notice your stomach. How does it feel? Can you feel it? Notice your breathing. Is it shallow, too fast, or deep and relaxed? No fixing required, just noticing. Now, gently ask yourself, where do I still feel like I'm holding instead of truly living? Don't overthink it. Just see what pops up. That's right. Now, another question. What do I feel like I have to stay ready for, even if it isn't happening anymore? And just notice. That's right. And now quietly say to yourself, of course I learned to be like this. Of course my body learned to protect me. Nothing is wrong with me. Take one slower breath. And as you breathe out, just imagine letting go of 1% of the tension that you usually carry. Not all of it, just a little. And if it feels right, just quietly say, I survived that version of my life. I don't have to live there anymore. I'm allowed to feel safe now. Even if it's only a little bit at a time. That's right. And there's something else I want to say before we finish. And I say this really honestly. I haven't just sat with thousands of clients who felt like this over the years. I've lived this too. There were long stretches in my own healing where I understood everything. I could explain my self-sabotaging patterns, my deeply ingrained self-sacrificing that I engaged in so very well. I could help other people with their patterns. I knew where things came from, yet still, there were parts of my life where I felt slightly braced, where good things felt a bit unsafe. And let's be honest, as if they wouldn't last. Where slowing down felt really uncomfortable. In fact, I clearly recall being in my hospital bed after almost dying of sepsis, sitting on my laptop doing the work, as I just didn't know how to actually rest. In fact, that's been many years in the making, learning to let go of that very hard ingrained habit. Where part of me was still waiting for something to go wrong, because that's what I'd known in the past. And I remember thinking, why is this still here? Not dramatically, just quietly, like, I thought I'd be further past this by now. And what I learned in my own body, not just in theory, was this: that sometimes doing all the suggested things for healing gets you to a place that's safe, but it takes time for your body to actually catch up and believe that you're safe. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is. And that is just your nervous system doing its job. It's actually been doing a really great job keeping you safe. It adapted so intelligently as a result of your experiences. However, once you understand that your body has held it and it's imprinted within your nervous system, then you can learn to gently release it and finally feel safe to live the life that you've been dreaming of, but that felt out of reach. And I say that to you, not from theory, from lived experience. And what I love about this work is that you don't become someone new. You actually become more of you. Less guarded, less braced, less organised around who you had to be to survive. More organised around who you actually are. And that, my friends, is where life starts to feel lighter. So before we finish, just want you to sit with one more thing. If nothing had gone wrong, if you didn't have to protect so much, what would soften first? Your shoulders, your decisions, your relationships, your voice. Who would you be right now? Just notice what comes up. No pressure, no fixing, just noticing. And maybe say quietly, I survived that version of my life, and I'm allowed to live this one. Thank you so much for being here with me through this series. Truly. I hope something really landed for you, and I'm so glad that you're here. Please remember, all of this that you've been feeling doesn't make you weird. You are not broken. You adapted. Your system did its job really, really well. And now you get to live and grow tall like the tall poppy that you were always destined to be. Much love. Lots of compassion. Bye for now. Thank you for spending this time with me on Growing Tall Poppies. My hope is that today's episode has offered you something more than insight, that it's helped you feel a little more connected to who you are now, a little more trusting of your body, and a little more permission to stand tall without shrinking or forcing yourself forward. Post-traumatic growth isn't about fixing yourself or returning to who you once were. It's about understanding how you adapted, honouring your nervous system, and gently choosing what no longer needs to come with you. New episodes of Growing Tall Poppies are released weekly, every Tuesday, and I'd love for you to continue walking this path with us as we explore identity after adversity, integrity and visibility wounds, nervous system wisdom, and what it truly means to grow forward, grounded, aligned, and embodied. If this episode resonated, I invite you to subscribe, follow, share it with someone that you feel might need it, or simply take a quiet moment to reflect on what's ready to move forward for you. You can also find me on Instagram at Dr. Nat Green, on Facebook at Dr. Natalie Green, or over on YouTube at Dr. Nat Green. And remember, you don't need to rush, and you don't need to hide anymore. Stay connected, stay true, and keep standing tall like the tall poppy you are. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.